All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to begin my talk with a poem that I wrote as the night before my brother's sentence. We had a community gathering, vigil-like gathering. It was a night of prayer. A lot of the community members came together and in support and in prayer in hopes that the judge wouldn't give them a harsh sentence. This poem is written in two different perspectives. It is influenced by a lot of the interactions I've had with reporters since my brother's incarceration, and how gleeful they are when they interrogate you or question you, as though they are removed from having human emotion. And so I'll read it like so. Question number 1: what is it like to be in prison? I wonder what it's like to be in prison. For the 2x2 cubicle to be your haven amidst rising to the thumping footsteps of 200 shackled ankles signaling you to breakfast. For muffled whimpers of mighty men made of ivory and tusk blanket you to sleep. And in the same way you crane your neck to the winding roads of a car race video game, they too press palms against all too thick glass panes in hopes of seeing a single ray of sun. A speck of clouds. What flavor is wind on bittersweet tongue? Does rain soothe the fevered body? Do ribs pierce each other when loneliness becomes like an empty well? We are hopeless. We are broken records splintered with so many versions of what if. Question number 2: what is it like at home? If all the bodies on God's vast green earth could lie atop the comforters of my brother's bed, it would still remain empty. There are nights I could count the amount of times my baby brother asks when the void will be filled again. Sometimes I monologue with his witticism. Sometimes I Snapchat a ridiculous photo to beloved Ummah, perhaps it'll read open. Question number 3: how did it feel like when they took him away? Hurt feels like a barn of yarn whose beginning you cannot find. Hurt feels like shards of your favorite china you cannot piece back together. Like a mother whispering defeat between bloodshot eyes and hiccuping cries. Like an entire country really does. Question number 4: what do you hope to see? His face? Palms of different colors and languages clasped for the sake of his face? A human face for a living body? Limbs attached to beings both fragile and strong, kneeling in prostration or in common struggle. This is what I envision. So as my favorite poet, West African poet, Ijoima Umabinya, puts it, she says, so here you are, too foreign for home and too foreign for here, and never enough for both. I feel like life is a process of self-discovery, right? And this is how my brother felt when he was growing up. When he wore his traditional white gown on Fridays to pray and attempted to grab a bite at the local McDonald's, he was spat at, yelled at to go back home. And unbeknownst to them, he was born just a few miles away, and this is the only home he's ever known. Imagine owning a blue passport, having your baby feet imprinted on a decaying papyrus-like paper, warming the campfire during the chill nights of summer, and taking to the hills in the bleaks of Minnesotan winters, stressing about college finals, discovering detours and eateries in the cuts, kicking it with friends, BBQ and basking with family. Yet somehow, some way, amidst doing all of this, you're still not American enough. Since my brother's incarceration, we've been approached by one too many reporters keen on seeking an exclusive insider to exploit with bold headlines the following morning. If they were eager and persistent enough, perhaps even the same evening. It was a learning experience for us, being able to decipher which reporter externally seemed truthful enough to tell our story without warping it. And how do you do this? How do you look at someone's eyes and hear them speak so fondly about your culture, the foods you eat, how many Somali people they know in your own community, and not trust them? I'd always thought having trust issues was a consequence of being betrayed by people whom you were more than just acquainted with. But I was wrong. Cedar Riverside is a bustling, lively neighborhood in the inner city that has become a haven for many of my people post the Civil War in Somalia. After being born in North Minneapolis, it was also the second place my family and I relocated to and called home for a few years. And so when Fox 9 reporter Peg Hegseth took to the streets of my former neighborhood and harshly interrogated people minding their own business, strolling to the local grocer, or having a cup of coffee at the street corner with friends, he says, "Why is Minnesota a hotbed for terrorists?" The survival mechanism in my first generation aunties, uncles, and grandparents is to say, "I don't speak English," in lucid English. This is the same interview that concludes with an anchor asking, "Why have so many Somalis relocated to Minnesota?" To which the easy answer would be to seek refuge from war, but to which Hegseth decided to reply, "In many ways, Lutheran social services, good welfare benefits, a welcoming environment, for all the right reasons, right? The problem is that there hasn't been the kind of assimilation that you would want necessarily, and not for a lack of outreach. That's where the concern comes from." Assimilation means the process of becoming similar to something. The question then begs, similar to what? America isn't a homogeneous body, and its culture is no reflection of the indigenous people. Many are immigrants and attempt to balance their intersectionality of being American and being Arab or Irish or Somali, of attempting to balance both identities and evade scrutiny and suspicion. For some people, assimilation means annihilation of our culture. For example, I used to be a frequent rider of public transportation, and mainly because my campus they attended then was smack in the middle of downtown. And besides not wanting to sit in morning traffic all morning, you also didn't want to get overcharged for parking. And so I remember distinctly being in the backseat of the bus on my way home one evening, sitting across from what seemed to be an artist sketching in his pad. From my peripheral vision, I could see him glancing my way for more times than I could count on one hand. So naturally, I looked over and used the opportunity to give me a work of his, a drawing of Jesus and a few biblical verses. I was used to Metro missionaries, so I accepted his drawing and thanked him for it. He started talking then, so I removed my headphones to hear better. "You should believe in Jesus," he said, to which I smiled and said, "Oh, but I do believe in Jesus." The shock that registered on his face was almost hysterical, and so I elaborated, and I said, Muslims believe in Jesus, and they believe in him as a prophet sent from God. In fact, we have a whole chapter in the Quran dedicated to Mary, the mother of Jesus. He looked skeptic, so I pulled out an English translation of the Quran and showed him the chapter. He didn't take this very well. In fact, he shook his head furiously, grabbed the line to signal stop, yelled, "Go to hell," at the top of his lungs, and exited through the back door. Naturally, I was stunned and embarrassed that the remainder of the bus was now gawking at me. It was really surprising to me that more than anything, I'd done absolutely nothing to irk him besides being Muslim. I'd always been one to take things lightheartedly, and this despite my parents' warning and precautions to stay safe because the world wasn't safe for a young Muslim African-American girl. That incident drove me from seeing safety in riding the Metro Transit, and seeing the seriousness in investing in a car despite overpriced parking fees, and painfully realizing that the wolf isn't necessarily stronger in its pack, and that sometimes people will be complacent to injustice perpetuated onto their neighbor. Similarly, there's a lack of trust in my community. We like to think we're all heroes in the face of injustice, but the truth is you'll never really know where you stand until you're afflicted with a mishap. 7 young men, ranging ages 19 to 21, all friends, were incarcerated to 10 to 35 years, and as a response, the former U.S. Attorney Andrew Lugar took reason in perpetuating an already existing stereotype and attempted to initiate a program titled CVE, Countering Violent Extremism. A program that only targets Muslim communities and is both stigmatizing and alienating because it furthers this false assumption that American Muslims are not fully invested in honoring our religious and civic duties. Also, in light of the case of my brother, Catherine Bigelow took the liberty in producing a show in our city titled Mogadishu, Minnesota, which is a Somali character, coincidentally, playing a role of a tear, so sarcasm, no. Another stigma for the thousands of young, talented Somali youth who beg to be known as anything but. Just last week, I visited my brother, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison. And as I sat across from him, I realized that I was looking at the bitter fruit of growing up in I was looking at the result of the bitter fruit of growing up in a society that marginalizes us, pigeonholes us as extremists and terrorists. And if anything, I'm left with the daunting question of what will be the fate of my younger siblings, friends, and community members in the coming years as they attempt to navigate the world in a time where Trump is setting the tone about these things. I'm going to end here because we need time for Q&A. I know I didn't cover anything about my brother's case specifically. It's very, very intricate, but I'm open to answering any questions. My brother's name is Ikraan Abdurahman. He got sentenced in November to 10 years in prison for essentially thought crimes. The factual charge that is written down, nevertheless, is conspiracy to attempt to aid a foreign terrorist organization. Yes, so there was also an informant involved. It was one of their close friends, and he was threatened by the FBI first and was told that he was going to be locked up for life if he didn't rat out or basically record the remainder of his friends. And so now there's 9 young men where I come from who are all in the same social sphere, who all ate at my house, all played basketball in my backyard, who I all knew, serving from 10 to 35 years.